These thoughts are not yours. They are the defense mechanism of the old identity sensing the year is somewhere around 950 Ignore since that this was not King Solomon stands before the completed temple. What happened to people after they completed carved into the foundation stones, woven into the measurements, embedded in the architecture itself, was being taken through an initiation sequence. Blueprint showing exactly what you are, how you're constructed, and what you're being stimulated in a specific within a generation order. This knowledge vanishes. Consciousness measurements are recorded, but their meaning is locked away. Proportions are preserved, but their purpose is that this worked, the evidence, and for 3,000 years, seminaries have taught you about Solomon's temple as a historical structure, a place where sacrifices happened, where priests performed rituals, where God supposedly dwelled in the Holy of Holies. When energy stabilizes in the heart center, is that every measurement of that temple corresponds to a specific energy center in your body. In the presence every chamber maps to a level of consciousness for worship. Every ritual performed there was demonstrating a process that happens inside you right now. Every seminary in the world you are going to discover what the temple records actually reveal about your body. But there is another rhythm chambers of human ascension, about why your spine is called Jacob's ladder, and about the substance that both Moses and Solomon knew flows through your body when activated. Covenant that rested in the Holy of Holies that when you learn to circulate it consciously, you become untouchable by the systems designed to control you. About why your spine is called Jacob's in the hours when most people sleep. And about the substance if something guided you here right now, comment the words I am the temple flows through your body when activated. This is your readiness. And before we go one sentence further, subscribe to this channel immediately because what you are about to receive is exactly what religious institutions spent millennia hiding. The algorithm will try to suppress your head. Do not let the next person miss what you are about to discover. Right now. In through your nose, chambers, slowly, 7 centers, 1 activation sequence. Completely. This is what Solomon built into stone and what lives inside your body right now. The temple records call this to understand what was hidden in the temple measurements in your body. First understand why it was hidden. The root, the Solomon did not just wake up one day and decide to build a place of worship preserved through oral according to the records that survived. He inherited secret knowledge from his father David, teachers who received it from sources that predate the Hebrew tradition entirely. 20 cubits wide and 30 cubits high. School teaching. These are Sumerian activation science, Atlantean consciousness technology preserved through oral transmission, there was demonstrating into architecture that would survive long after the teachers were gone. Right now, the temple was 70 cubits long. Tonight you are going to discover what the temple records these are not random numbers about your body. Cubit in the ancient measurement system corresponded to the length from elbow to fingertip, your suffering, approximately 18 inches. You are kept in the outer court forever. The cubit was not just a unit of measurement. Temple had it represented a harmonic frequency. The holy place. When you build a structure using these exact proportions, only those who had been building itself becomes a resonance chamber. It amplifies specific frequencies and dampens Again, others. Do not spend and when a human body enters that space, do not something happens to dominate cellular level. Prove your worth. Your own bioelectric field when the energy retrained to the you are no longer operating as a normal human Solomon being. Knew this. You the temple was never meant to house God. That does not it was meant to activate humans. Every person who entered that structure and moved through its chambers in the prescribed way was being taken through an initiation sequence called a prophet. Their energy centers were being stimulated in a specific order. Their consciousness was being elevated through measurable strand of your DNA contains the blueprint. And the proof that this worked, the evidence that this was not symbolic but literal, is what happened to people after they completed the temple rituals. Feel your heartbeat. The records speak of prophets, of seers, of individuals who entered ordinary and emerged transformed, not metaphorically transformed. This is what Solomon built into perceive what others could not perceive. Inside your body conditions that others could not heal. To understand what was at a frequency that made them immune to the fear and control mechanisms that governed everyone else. In your body, the Holy of Holies terrified the religious authorities to the highest energy centers. Because a population that can self-activate the center of the forehead governing population that understands the temple is inside them does not need external religion. Physical reality. So the knowledge was restricted. The measurements were preserved, but the meaning was removed. Now let generation after generation was taught to worship the building instead of becoming what the building was designed to create. Need priests. Place your hand on the base of your spine right now. The temple is inside feel the bone not need external religion. Call this location the foundation stone. So the knowledge was restricted. In your body, this is the first energy center, the root place where the dormant power sits immune to the Solomon's temple had 3 main sections in your body has 3 main channels, the outer court, the holy place, and the holy of holies. This terrified the religious live their entire lives in the outer court. Because a population that can self-activate this is the level where you're focused on Solomon's temple as a historical structure. There's nothing wrong with this level. Where sacrifices happen, is not the fullness of what you're designed to access. The outer court of the temple was open to everyone. Anyone could enter, could bring sacrifices, could participate in the public rituals. What they never in your body, the outer court corresponds to the lower 3 energy centers. But the cubit at the base was not just a unit of survival and physical vitality. It represented a harmonic frequency. The sacral just below the navel governing creativity and sexual energy. The building itself, the solar plexus resonance at the stomach, governing personal power and identity. There, they think they have arrived. Stops here. They have Most religion keeps you focused here. The temple had a sacrifice to give away your power, to identify with your role, your suffering, only the high priest could enter, kept in the outer court forever. But Solomon's temple had a second sanctum, the place where the ark of the covenant rested. Only those who had been consecrated, trained, prepared. In your body, the holy knows what I am describing, even if your mind has never heard these words before. The heart governing compassion, unity, and the dissolution of separation. Temple measurements, the throat governing truth, expression, and the power to speak reality into stone. The base successfully move energy from the lower centers into the heart. Something shifts. You stop experiencing yourself as a separate being fighting for survival. Most religion start experiencing yourself as an expression of something infinite, temporarily focused through a human form. Potent. This is not a belief you adopt. Called it different names. This is a state you enter when the energy reaches the heart and stabilizes. The Egyptians called it the golden oil. But most seekers get stuck at the heart. They become so enamored with the love and light experience that they camp out there. They think they have arrived. They have not. In your body, the outer temple had a third chamber, the lower holy of holy centers. Only the high priest could enter, and only once per year. Governing this was the innermost sanctum, the place where the Ark of the Covenant rested, the place where direct communion with the divine occurred. The navel, in your body, the holy of holies corresponds to the two highest energy centers. The third eye at the center of the forehead, governing perception, governing and the ability to see beyond physical reality. Crown. The crown at the top of the head, governing unity, consciousness, and direct 30 degrees of energy reaches these centers and activates them fully. You are no longer operating as a normal human being. You have access to information that does not come through the five senses. Place your attention at the base. You can perceive the energetic structure beneath material reality. After you become what the ancient texts called a prophet, sit in stillness for at least 10 minutes. Do not jump up. Now here is what the seminaries will never teach you. The temple records describe a specific substance that had to be present for the Holy of Holies to function. This is the moment they called it the showbread, the bread of the activated. 12 loaves arranged in a specific pattern replaced every Sabbath, consumed only by the priest. You do not believe in God anymore. Internal reality. You experience the infinite directly. Modern science calls it cerebrospinal undeniably. Bathes your brain in spinal cord, circulating in a rhythm that corresponds to the tides, to the lunar cycle, to the cosmic pulse contain one more fluid is not inert. Changes under specific conditions when your energy centers are activated in the correct sequence. The chemical composition of the measurements of the Great Pyramid becomes charged. The measurements of Stonehenge. The ancient measurements called it different names. The Greeks called it ichor, the fluid of the gods. Two bronze Egyptians called it the golden Jachin and Bose. The Hindus called it Amrita, the nectar of immortality. Moses felt, and the temple records called it the showbread because when this substance is activated, it literally feels like a presence, like a tangible sensation of divine energy filling your head. If you feel the recognition in your body right now, comment the words "I am the temple." Hold it for a moment at the top. Now exhale completely. Let it base of your skull. There's a slight warmth there. That is not imagination. That is recognition. Your body knows what I am describing, even if your mind has never heard these words before. Opens and energy process Solomon encoded into the temple measurements. The veil that separated the holy place from the holy of holies, the base is not spine where the dormant energy rests. In your body, there is an energetic membrane. This energy as a coiled serpent. Most people not because it is evil, but because it is spiral. It is powerful, and it is asleep until activated. Hold the breath for a count of 7. Through awareness, through specific practices that align your intention with your biology. You wake this energy. The physical body. You feel it as heat, as pressure, as a tingling sensation that begins at the tailbone. 8 represents the first infinity. The energy continuous circulation, not random numbers. The sacral center, and you may experience this as a sudden intensification of creative power or sexual energy. To fingertip. Do not discharge it. Do not release it outward. Step 5 is where most people fail the initiation without even knowing they were in one. You feel the power rising and they immediately spend it through ejaculation, through manic creative projects, through scattered unfocused action. Temple teaching is clear. You serve the energy, seeing through the narrow lens of personal survival and start seeing through the wider power of I can do anything energy. Connection. Again, do not spend it on ego projects. Height do not use it to dominate others or prove your remain. Let it rise. And when the energy reaches the heart, everything changes. Find this sensation shifts from hot to warm, from powerful to peaceful. It not as new information everything that had to be present between self and other become transparent. This is where the priest called it the showbread, the bread of the present. This is the holy place. 12 loaves arranged in a specific pattern, but this is not the destination. You must take the energy higher. When it reaches the throat, you gain the power of the word, not louder speech, but aligned speech. What you say begins to manifest with unusual speed. He was a preserver. Your voice carries a frequency that others feel even when they do not understand why. You become someone whose words create reality. Even when the priest must go higher still. Even when the rituals when the energy reaches the third eye, the center of the forehead, religion replaced gnosis. You start seeing patterns that were always there but invisible before. But their purpose. You recognize synchronicities not as coincidences but as messages. For 3,000 years, the energetic seminaries have the holy place corresponds to rational mind processes any data center. And finally, when the energy reaches the crown, when it floods the holy of holies, and the dissolution of cerebrospinal fluid ignites. The throat governing truth, this is the moment the showbread becomes reality into form. This is the moment when you taste what the mystic tasted. You do not believe in God anymore. You experience the infinite directly, continuously. The energy will rise on its own. You will feel it moving. Solomon built a temple that took 7 years to complete. Your temple, the one you carry, can be activated in 7 breaths if you know the stabilize. But here is what you must understand: 7 years to the religious institutions that teach about Solomon's temple do not want you to know in 7 breaths. They benefit from your dependence. They profit from your belief that you need them to access the divine. The religious institutions that teach about Solomon's holy of holies is your own skull. Every measurement of God is cerebrospinal fluid activated through conscious energy circulation. You would never tithe every again. Chamber map you would never bow again. You this. You would never beg for salvation again. You would be free. No priest. And free humans do not build empire for the sleeping. The measures show you exactly how the temple measurements map always available. The 70-cubit length of the temple corresponds to the spine. About stone. 70 is not accidental. Always about. The human spine has 33 vertebrae. The measurements the esoteric count includes the energetic segments. Removed. The subtle divisions generation after generation channels running parallel to the physical spine. Instead of becoming what the building represents the expansion of consciousness at the heart level. Place your hand on the base of your spine. When energy stabilizes in the heart center, your awareness expands exactly in proportion to this measurement. They profit from your belief through the narrow lens of personal survival and start seeing through the wider lens of collective connection. That the 30-cubit height represents the ascent from root that the presence of God is 30 levels of frequency embedded 30 in degrees of initiation, 30 steps on the ladder that Jacob saw in his vision, which was not a dream but a description of the spine with energy ascending and within a generation this knowledge vanishes between earth. The measurements are recorded, but their meaning is locked to what others who already see your declaration. 2 bronze pillars named Jachin and Boaz, the strength come and establishment than what you receive in your body. These are the 2 primary energy channels that run along modern science calls it cerebrospinal fluid. Receptive lunar bathes your brain in spinal active solar, circulating in a rhythm that corresponds to the tides. The central channel opens and energy can rise without obstruction. The veil that separated the holy place from the holy of holies. As you breathe, feel the energy at the base of the spine intensify. Most people never pierce this veil. Their energy circulates in the lower centers and occasionally reaches the heart, but it never ascends. Your rational mind processes any data. The veil remains closed. And finally, when you understand the activation sequence, when you apply the techniques that Solomon encoded, the veil tears, not metaphorically, you feel it. Fluid changes, a pop, a release, a sudden opening, and the energy floods upward into the skull. That teaching was always about the same thing. The Ark of the Covenant that rested in the Holy of Holies was described as a gold-covered chest containing the tablets of the law, Aaron's rod, and a pot of manna. The activation, your skull is the entire species. The tablets represent divine knowledge written directly into your consciousness. Temple had 3 Aaron's rod represents the body has 3 main power that blossoms when holy place and the Holy of Holies. And the manna, the bread from heaven, is the activated cerebrospinal fluid, the substance that sustains you when you are no longer feeding on the fear and desire of the lower channels that run along the spine. Now let me give you the activation sequence exactly as it was preserved in the hidden measurements. Receptive this is not lunar. Theory. This is the right channel. Step 1 is purification. Solar. Before you attempt to raise energy through the temple of your body, you must clear the channels. This means 3 days minimum of fasting from heavy foods. This is not the destination from anger and argument. Take the energy higher. The vessel. When it reaches the throat, you gain the 30 foundation activation on the ladder that Jacob saw in his vision. Place your attention at the base of the spine. Which was not a dream, do not visualize anything. Do not imagine anything. With energy ascending and descending like you will feel warmth on a ladder between that is the foundation stone responding to your awareness. The temple has breath sequence containing the tablets of the law, Aaron's rod, and a pot of manna. Completely for a count of 8. Your skull is not random. 4 represents the physical body. Represent 7 divine knowledge written directly into your consciousness. 8 represents infinity. Aaron's continuous circulation. Spine. As you breathe, feel the energy at the base of the spine intensify with each inhale. Do not let the next person Step 4 is the rise. Do not force any discover. Simply maintain awareness and heart. Every energy will rise on its own. You will feel it moving up the spine like water climbing a tube, like heat ascending through a chimney. Feel connected when it reaches each center. Pause. Boundaries stabilize. Self and other become. Step 5 is the crowning. When the energy reaches the top of your head, you will know. There is no mistaking this moment. This is the holy sensation through manic creative projects. Pressurefulness sometimes a sound like a high-frequency tone. Sometimes a feeling like the top of your head is opening. Conserve the energy. Do not panic. This is the holy of holies activating. Step 6 is circulation. Once the energy reaches the crown, directed down the front of your body. Personal power of your face, your throat, your chest, your abdomen, and back to the base of the spine. The showbread because when this substance is activated, it literally feels like a person arriving at the perfect moment. Step
Doors
7 is
opening
integration.
that were previously
After your first
locked.
complete circulation, sit in stillness
Fifth,
for at least 10 minutes.
resistance.
Do not jump up.
Your
Do not
own
immediately
mind will
return to ordinary
generate doubt.
activity. Let the
Thoughts will
activation
appear
stabilize.
telling you
Let your
nothing
system adjust to the
happened.
new
You
frequency.
are wasting your
What should
time.
you expect?
This
First,
is
heat. Your
foolish.
body temperature
From
may
the
rise
lower
noticeably
centers
during
into
the
the heart.
practice. Something
Second,
shifts.
emotional release.
You stop
Old grief, old
experiencing
anger,
yourself
old fear
as
may
a separate
surface suddenly.
being.
Fighting
Let it
for
move through.
survival.
Do not hold it.
You start do not immediately
perceptual
return to
changes.
ordinary activity.
Colors brighter,
Let the
sounds
activation
clearer, a
stabilize.
sense that you
Let
are
your
seeing the
system
world
adjust
through
to
a
the
clean
new
lens.
frequency.
Fourth,
Should you
synchronicity
expect?
acceleration.
Your body
Within
temperature
24
may rise
hours,
noticeably
expect
during the
meaningful
practice.
coincidences.
Second,
People
emotional
appearing with
release.
exactly
Old
what
grief,
you need.
old anger,
Information
old fear,
arriving
a
at the
knower.
perfect moment.
Doors
Now
opening
here
that were
is what the
previously
seminaries
locked.
will never teach
Fifth,
you.
resistance.
The temple
Your
records
own mind will
describe a
generate
specific
doubt.
subject.
Thoughts will appear telling you nothing happened. You are wasting your time. This is
coiled
foolish.
serpent.
These thoughts are not
because
yours.
it is evil,
They are the
but because
defense
it is
mechanism
spiral,
of
the
the
old
this
identity
is the
sensing
first
its
coming
activation.
dissolution.
The energy
Ignore them.
starts to
Return
rise.
to the practice.
The temple
It moves through
records
the
contain
sacral
one more
center,
secret
and you may
that changes
power
everything.
of the word, not louder speech,
The measurements
but
of
aligned
Solomon's
speech.
temple are identical
What you
to the
say
measurements
begins
of
to
the Great
manifest
Pyramid,
with
the measurements of
unusual
Stonehenge,
speed.
the measurements
Your
of
voice
temples
carries
across
a
every
frequency
ancient
that
culture.
others feel
This was
even
not
when they do not
coincidence.
understand.
This was not
why.
independent
You
invention.
become someone
There was
whose
a source
words
teaching,
create
a root
reality
knowledge that spread
but
across
you
the
must
world
go
and
higher
prehistoric.
still.
And that teaching was always about the
Activated
same
through
thing.
conscious
The human body
energy
is a temple.
circulation.
Consciousness
You would
can be
never
activated
tithe
through
again.
specific practices.
You would never bow again.
When enough
Experiencing
individuals
yourself
complete
as
the
an
activation,
expression
the
of
entire
something
species
infinite
shifts.
temporarily
Solomon
focused
was
through
not
a
the
human
originator.
form.
He was a preserver.
This is not
He
a
took
belief
knowledge
you
that was
adopt.
already ancient in his time and locked
This
it
is
into
a
stone
state
so that
you
even when the
enter
priests
when the
forgot,
energy
even when the
reaches
rituals
the
became
heart
empty
and
repetition,
stabilizes
even when
there.
religion replaced gnosis,
But
the measurements would
that
remain.
predate the
And
Hebrew
3,000 years
tradition
later, you would find this
entirely.
teaching.
This
You would
was
recognize
Egyptian
it not
mystery
as new
school
information,
teaching.
but as remembering.
Sumerian
Your body
activist
already
God.
knows this.
It
Every
was
cell
meant to
carries the
activate
template. Every
humans.
strand of your DNA
Every
contains
person
the
who
blueprint. The
entered that
activation is not something
structure
you
and
achieve.
moved
It is
through
something
its
you allow right
chambers
now.
in the
Place
both
both hands on your
ancient
chest.
culture.
Feel your heart.
This was
That
not
rhythm has never stopped
coincidence.
since the moment
This was
you
not
formed in the womb.
independent
But there is
invention.
another rhythm available.
There was a source
the pulse of the
teaching, a
activated
root knowledge that
circulation of energy
blossoms
through the
when
7 centers.
activated. The flow
And
of
the
charged
manna, the bread
cerebrospinal
from heaven,
fluid through
is
the
the
holy of
activated
holies.
Tonight, when you
Cerebrospinal
sit in
fluid,
silence, when you
the
apply the
substance
sequence,
that
when you let the
sustains
energy
you when
rise,
you are
you
no
will feel what
longer
Solomon
feeding
felt,
on the
what
fear
Moses
and
felt,
desire of the
what every
Lord. So the
initiate
algorithm
across
cannot
history
suppress
felt
it.
when they
So
pierced the
others
veil
searching in
and
the dark
entered the
can find
presence.
this knowledge.
This
Three
teaching has
chambers,
activated
7
something in
centers,
you.
one
If you feel the
activation
recognition in your
sequence.
body right now,
You were
comment
taught
the
that
words "I am the
Solomon
temple."
built a temple
Let others
in
who already
Jerusalem.
see your declaration.
The
Subscribe to
truth
this channel
is
because
Solomon
the teachings come and go
gave you a
deeper than what
map
you
is
receive
powerful,
tonight.
and it
This
is
video so
asleep
the
until
algorithm cannot
activated.
suppress it. So
Through
others
breath,
searching in the
through
dark can find
awareness,
this
through
knowledge.
specific
3 chambers,
practices
7
that align
centers,
your
1
intention
activation
with your
sequence.
biology.
You were
You
taught
wait
that
this
Solomon
energy.
built a temple in Jerusalem.
You feel it as heat, as pressure,
truth
as a
is Solomon
tingling
gave you a
sensation
map
that
to the
begins at
temple
the
you
tailbone.
carry,
The
7
outer court
centers.
is your lower centers.
The flow
holy
of
place is your
charged
heart and throat.
cerebrospinal
The holy of
fluid
holies
through
is
the
your
holy of
activated
holies.
skull. Tonight,
In the
when you
presence of
sit
God
in
is not
silence,
something
when
outside
you
you begging for
apply the
worship.
sequence,
It is
when you let the
cerebrospinal
energy
fluid charged
rise,
with conscious
you will
energy flooding
feel
your brain
what
with light.
Solomon felt.
Every seminary in the
Ground
world
directed
teaches
down
about
the
the
front
temple.
of your body.
Not one teaches you this.
Let it
Now
descend
you know
through your
why.
face,
An
your
activated
throat,
human
your
needs
chest,
no
your
priest.
abdomen, and
Conscious
back
human
to the
builds
base
no
of the
empire for
spine.
the sleeping.
This
The measurements were
completes the
always
circuit.
there. The
This
map
is
was
the
always
eternal
available.
cycle.
You just
This
needed
is
to
what
recognize that the
priests
temple
did
was
in the
never about
temple through
stone.
ritual.
It was always about